When someone asks you who the best pro wrestler is right now in the entire world, it is a very subjective thing to give your opinion on. Your opinion is going to be different from the other person's opinion. Your opinion is going to be different than everybody in the community's opinion. You're going to have some people that agree with you, but who the best wrestler in the world is one of the most subjective things you could possibly talk about in the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community. But when one talks about the best women's wrestler in the world, it is very difficult to not think Bayley. Bayley topped the list of the PWI top 100 women in the entire world for 2020, and I am here to tell you that they got it absolutely right. Eric Bischoff calls the WWE Draft an absolute nightmare. It's a nightmare for Andrade. Why didn't Andrade get drafted during the draft on Monday Night Raw? Why is Andrade without a home in WWE? And we are going to go over all the Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, NXT news that your little heart can handle right here on the #1 podcast in the entire internet wrestling community. This is Off the Script.
Delete this man.
You guys listen to this, we may be looking at the Atlanta Braves in the 2020 World Series. I did not, and believe me, I am a lifelong Atlanta Braves fan, and I did not even think that it was possible. Now, yes, it's a shortened season, but if you've watched this team play in the playoffs, they are a force to be reckoned with when they are hot. Now, their pitching is a little iffy because they've had a myriad of injuries, but that lineup, man, is a lineup that I am absolutely confident in. Really. So by the time you listen to this, we may be looking at the Atlanta Braves in the World Series representing the National League, and that would make me a very happy New Yorker.
Oh, JD, why aren't you a Yankees fan, man? Why aren't you a Mets fan, man?
I do not like any New York sports teams. I never believed in being born in a specific city and you having to be a team of that specific city. And why am I a Braves fan? Fun fact, I used to collect baseball cards when I was younger, trying to imitate my father, who was big into the hobby. And he bought me my first pack of baseball cards. And in the pack, I got a David Justice rookie card. And he told me, that's going to be worth a lot of money. And obviously, it's not worth anything right now, but as a very impressionable young child, when your father tells you that and you're trying to imitate his hobby that he loves, that's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty big deal. So why am I an Atlanta Braves fan? That is the reason why. And then obviously came the John Smoltzes and the Steve Averys and the Greg Maddoxes and the Tom Glavines and the Chipper Jones, to where we see now Freddie Freeman and the Acuna Juniors and the Ozzy Albies and the Marcel Ozunas of the world. Some good stuff there, man. So I hope that they can continue this role, and I would be a very, very proud Atlanta Braves fan. I am a very proud podcaster, man. I have one of the best shows in the entire community, and it's thanks to you guys. This is Off the Script, episode 347. This is for your Saturday, 10/17, October 17th, 2020, and we have a lot to go over today. The big story this week, obviously, was the WWE Draft. We're going to go over why it does not work. Looking at the rosters, why it does not work. I see no change in anything on Monday and Friday night. Just by looking at these women's and tag team divisions, man, oh man, it goes to show you that I was right for now 5 years running. 5 years running. Nobody wants to listen to me. Nobody wants to listen to the poor schmuck known as JD from New York. Been telling you what to do, and WWE refuses to do it. They want to give us brand-to-brand invitationals, and then they want to break the rules, and they want to make everything else irrelevant. So we're going to go over that. Andrade, why wasn't he drafted to a show? Well, maybe we should ask Bruce. Better yet, maybe we should ask Vince McMahon. Why? One of the best wrestlers on the planet that works for you doesn't have a home. Now, we can't upset the Android Queen, who is Andrade's fiancée, but even that, I don't think WWE cares. Bayley topped the PWI Top 100 Women's Wrestler list for 2020. Some of you geeks out there might be upset. Some of you super fans, super stans, no-life fucking stalkers out there might be upset.
How could they? But what about Alexa Bliss? But what about Becky Lynch?
We're going to go over why.
What about Dana Brooke?
We're going to go over why.
What about Naomi?
We're going to go over why.
What about Charlotte Flair?
We're going to go over why, geek. Don't worry. We're going to go over why Bayley undoubtedly is in a league of her own. And the only other woman this year, I would say Sasha Banks, but she really hasn't done much of anything. Maybe the award goes to her next year. The only other woman right now on the main roster that even comes close to Bayley is Asuka. Yes, Bayley is number one, whether you like it or not, geek. Get used to it. And after you listen to what I tell you, you're going to believe every word. And then you're going to go back to your little cave.
Oh, I hate AD, but he's right, man. I'm going to blast him on social media, but I'm going to watch him again on Monday.
It's exactly what's going to happen. So we're going to go over that. And then all your NXT, AEW, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown ratings. I got news about Finn Balor. I got news about, here's a new one. Really haven't mentioned them on the show at all, but I got news on Tino Sabatelli. The quote-unquote NXT reject that found a job with AEW. I should say he found a cup of coffee with AEW. Never got invited back. Then he was ousted for leaking spoilers on Eric Bischoff's debut night. And then as of this week, all of a sudden, he shows back up at the WWE Performance Center. I wonder why. I wonder why there, Paul. I wonder why there, Regal. Huh? Yeah, we're going to go over that as well. It's going to be a loaded show, guys. Thank you so very much for joining me. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on the Twitter and Instagram at JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. If you guys missed any of the previous uploads this week, it's been a very light week. Really nothing going on. And I didn't really feel all that well anyway. I don't know if it's a changing of the season. I don't know if it's the weather. All the rain we're getting on the East Coast. It's very depressing, man. Very depressing. So if you guys missed any of the videos that I've uploaded this week, we got Monday Night Raw, we got AEW, we got Friday Night SmackDown as of last night, all live on the channel each and every single week. If you missed any of those live streams, go and check the description down below where all the appropriate playlists will be. And that is for you to waste your time with this weekend. So there you go. Make sure you guys go and support the show. You can definitely do that in a multitude of ways. Number one, patreon.com/JD from NY206. I appreciate you all for that. New revamped Patreon coming this holiday season. We got mouthmasker.com. Go and get your face coverings. Go and get your off-the-script masks. If you got to wear a mask, Make sure you wear the Off the Script logo proud. We got the new black masks in stock, which look so much better than the white. Can't even begin to tell you. Mouthmasker.com/OTS. Go and get your masks today. The JD is Negan shirt is still on sale. Go and get that if you have not done so at bonfire.com. Link for Bonfire and the new shirt is linked down below in the description of this very video. Follow me on Twitch. I don't usually plug the Twitch channel, but I've been on there so much, it's going to become a part of the everyday Off the Script thing. So Twitch, I've been streaming Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I'm going to be streaming games all through the winter. On there, we got some great stuff coming up. If you ain't watching the live streams, man, you're missing some epic shit. Really, you're missing some epic shit. Twitch.tv/JD from New York. New York is spelled out. It is not abbreviated. So make sure you guys go and do that. And today's show is sponsored by my wonderful friends over at The Ridge. Ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout for 10% off anything in their online shop. And man, oh man, I love The Ridge. We'll go over them a little bit later on in the show. Ridge.com/script, code SCRIPT at checkout. Might as well start at the top, man. Bayley, the woman that's on the thumbnail, Bayley tops PWI top 100 women's list for 2020. She's the best in the world. Now, Bayley had a wonderful 2020. With all things considered, this year being a complete disaster, Bayley had a pretty damn good year for her career-wise. The environment of the pandemic around her didn't stop her at all, and she landed on the top of PWI's 2020 top 100 women's wrestlers list. She says on social media, in true heel style, Bayley responded, and I quote, "Now if only I got the cover all to myself." Sasha Banks was on there. We got a little picture of Asuka and Charlotte and Becky Lynch, of all people. Now, if I only got the cover all to myself, the Bayley-bration, 500 days of Bayley, the year of Bayley, it just keeps getting better, end quote. Now, some, like I said in the outset of this podcast, may argue this choice. I don't really give a shit what you argue or not. You're not hosting the show. If you want to go spew your own opinion, go and do something on your own and develop your own fucking podcast. Now, some may not agree with this choice, but PWI nailed the selection, no doubt. There's nobody better, especially in 2020. It would be easy to pick anybody like a Becky Lynch, even though she was there for, a little bit this year. I guess they take the culmination of last year and somewhat of this year. It's very easy for anybody with a fucking manipulated mind to pick Charlotte Flair, because WWE has it programmed in you that she's the best women's wrestler in the world. Anybody could go out there and pick an Asuka or Sasha Banks, a Toni Storm, a Rhea Ripley, a Shayna Baszler, right? Or any of the women over in Japan. Io Shirai. Any one of those women. It would be easy to go and pick one of them for the top spot. But Bayley was chosen. Now, it's hard to argue anyone has grown as much as Bayley over the course of 2020. Now, she's completely reinvented herself. She's one of the premier heels in all of WWE, and she's held that women's SmackDown title longer than any woman in the history of the brand, over 1 year and still going. She's must-watch television. Whether you like it or not, she's must-watch television. Her ratings for her segments, the quarterly hour breakdowns when Sasha and Bayley were on, were some of the highest that SmackDown has produced all year. And she's gone into every single match very healthy. She never gets injured. And she always puts on a great match. And that's Bayley. Her feud with Banks is just one of the most recent cases of great in-ring storytelling and work when it comes to what she's done. She's a workhorse. Even through all the pandemic, Sasha and Bayley carried this company on their back. So it's very difficult. Asuka did the same thing. Can't leave out Asuka. She came to work every single week, WWE actually, in my eyes, rewarded her for being a true soldier to the WWE brand. Sasha and Bayley did the same exact thing. She appeared more times since the pandemic started on WWE TV, collectively more than any other superstar. She was on all 3 shows during the pandemic. She's rolling into Hell in a Cell as SmackDown Women's Champion. She will be battling Sasha Banks inside the Hell in a Cell structure on October 25th. Sasha, by the way, came in at number 5 on this year's list. Coming in at number 2 was Becky Lynch, followed by Asuka, who had a great year, like I said, in her own right. Now, placement. A lot of these geeks out there,
Why did Bayley get number 1?
Placement. First of all, this list shouldn't even matter. It's a kayfabe list. Nobody takes this list seriously. Bayley's not going to mention this. Maybe she will. Maybe she had. I don't know. I'm recording this before SmackDown. Maybe she had mentioned it on SmackDown last night. I don't know, man. I can't predict the future. Normally, lists like this aren't mentioned on WWE television. But Bayley is such a heel, she'll probably use that and throw it in Sasha Banks' face. And you know what? I hope she did. I hope she does. Placement is determined by championships won, quality of opponents, technical proficiency, win-loss record, overall activity, and the push they received from the company. I mean, I don't know who you're thinking of that is better than Bayley with all those criteria, but, I mean, please, wrap your brain around that one and then come back to me with an answer that is not Bayley. And then I'll call you a fucking fool. Obviously, Bayley was given a lot of responsibility over the past year, and this list shows that. Now, we're going to round out the top 20 spots here. If you guys don't know, Bayley came in at number 1, obviously. Becky Lynch was number 2. Asuka was number 3. I don't know why Asuka wasn't number 2. Becky Lynch, give me a break. Quality of opponents for Becky Lynch? Where? Lacey Evans? I think WWE fucked her over with what they did coming out of WrestleMania last year. They didn't give her any quality of opponent. Ronda Rousey did everything to build that division up, and WWE did everything to kill everything Ronda Rousey did. Becky Lynch, Asuka, Charlotte was number 4, Sasha Banks number 5. So we got the top WWE women in the top 5 spots. Hikaru Shida came in at number 6. Tessa Blanchard came in at number 7. And that has to do with her Impact World title reign. Riho came in at number 8. Io Shirai, Mayu Iwatani. If I pronounce that wrong, I'm a geek. I'm sorry. Rhea Ripley, Jordan Grace, Shayna Baszler, Thunder Rosa, Kimberly, Nyla Rose, Taya Valkyrie, Kylie Ray, and Nikki Cross. That rounded out the top 20. Now, for all the geeks out there on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, dwelling in the fucking sea of irrelevancy on Facebook in these Facebook groups, why has Bayley won the award? Let's break it down. First of all, Bayley won Money in the Bank in 2019. This, obviously, is taken throughout the calendar year. We got it through the summer, and then, obviously, it began last summer. And then they calculate, and then they come up with the list in October. That's how it usually goes. Bayley won Money in the Bank in 2019, cashed it in on the same night, beat Charlotte Flair in the same night. So she won Money in the Bank, and she beat Charlotte Flair in the same night to become the SmackDown Women's Champion. Now, with that win, she became the first ever Grand Slam Women's Champion in WWE. That's an honor in itself. She then defended the title against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and Ember Moon, who is now in NXT, successfully in recent months. Following that win over Charlotte Flair and winning Money in the Bank, she then turned heel, aligning herself with Sasha Banks in a story against Becky Lynch where Sasha Banks came back and WWE kind of forced a heel turn upon her. Everybody knew that Sasha Banks works better as a heel, but bringing her back in that situation was great. The matches were great, don't get me wrong, against Becky Lynch. I thought they worked very well together. They gave you one of the best Hell in a Cell matches that the company's ever produced. So I'm not really taking anything away from what they've done in the ring. But I don't think bringing Banks back in that situation really did good because WWE only moved her over to SmackDown after that, and the only reason why they brought her back to Monday Night Raw was because there were no other women on the roster that is viable as a heel to go up against Becky Lynch, because WWE fucked Becky Lynch and that women's division over. They moved her to SmackDown, and it's almost as if they brought her back. Yes, they made her heel, but they also brought her back because there was nobody else for Becky Lynch. I do not like Sasha Banks in that type of role. There was no competition after Ronda Rousey. Bayley beat Charlotte Flair again at the Clash of Champions last year, lost it to Flair at Hell in a Cell, which made absolutely no sense, and WWE simply used that as an opportunity to pad Charlotte Flair's stats, because all they did was take the title right off of Charlotte Flair and put it right back on Bayley. On October 11th, she beat Flair again for the title, and that was the night she debuted her new look, her new hairstyle, new theme music, and she stabbed a few Bayley buddies along the way on that particular episode of SmackDown. She wrestled Lynch and Baszler at the Survivor Series. She wrestled Lacey Evans going into the Royal Rumble, which is no threat at all. It was nothing more than WWE running on fumes with the women's division. If Lacey Evans is getting a title shot, man, that doesn't really do anything at all for the women's division. It just shows how terrible it is. She brought Carmella. If you guys remember this, on February 14th of this year, she brought Carmella to the best match of her life on SmackDown. I remember it because I was one of many people that actually praised Carmella in that match. She wrestled in Saudi Arabia at Super Showdown against Naomi, which is a big deal in itself. On March 8th, she became the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion ever, breaking Charlotte Flair's record. She legit beat every woman on SmackDown besides Banks, which is no real division anyway, but it got to WrestleMania, and they didn't know what else to do with Bayley. It was way too soon to think about Sasha Banks and Bayley, so they put Bayley in a match against all of the women in the division at the same time, including Sasha Banks, which the match was terrible, but the ending was the first real tease about a possible breakup or possible split with Sasha Banks. In June, she won that match, by the way. In June, Banks and Bayley won the SmackDown, not the SmackDown, but the Raw and SmackDown Women's Tag Team Championships, making her Bayley 2 belts. A couple of worthless matches with Nikki Cross led to Bayley beating Asuka at SummerSlam, and then obviously they lost the tag team titles, and we had the split with Bayley and Sasha Banks, already enhancing a great Bayley character by turning her on Sasha Banks. This was a great year for Bayley. I don't really know, outside of Asuka, especially in that women's division, who had a better year than Bayley. I don't really know. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be upset that Bayley won the award, and you might be thinking somebody else. It'd be very easy to give it to Tessa Blanchard. She was a world champion for her company. A world champion. She held the men's world championship. She broke boundaries in Impact Wrestling. But even that was not enough. You could give it to Hikaru Shida. Now, the quality of matches in AEW for Hikaru Shida really weren't there. Chris Statlander, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, yeah, fine. Nyla Rose, yeah, fine. But other than that, well, what did Hikaru Shida do? She's the AEW Women's Champion because she's the best that they have. That's why she's the champion. They have nothing else around her as of yet. They had to bring in Thunder Rosa because they have nobody else. It's getting a little bit better, but there is nobody else. No matter who you come up with, it's not going to matter. Nobody was more influential. Nobody had the year that Bayley had. And she did it all in a division that is fucking awful. WWE knew how valuable Bayley was, that they spread the wealth of Bayley on Monday and Wednesday night, besides Friday. Add Sasha Banks to the equation, they made for great television, and this is the longest running storyline that WWE has right now. And long-term storytelling and long-term booking in WWE is all but non-existent. Doesn't exist. So the fact that they have taken this, all this time from last year, and have gotten to this point, and they've made it to a point where Bayley now sits atop the PWI Top 100, that is a miracle in itself. Because WWE doesn't do that. So I think everybody should put some respect on Bayley's name. And we have not seen the best of Bayley yet. Honestly, I think this feud with Sasha Banks is going to kill it. Where they go after Hell in a Cell, I don't know, but I'm excited to see what they do on October 25th, and she deserves, no question. There's nobody even in the same atmosphere as Bayley in 2020. She deserves that top spot in the PWI top 100 women of 2020. Eric Bischoff, he called the WWE Draft an absolute nightmare. And that's exactly what it was, an absolute nightmare. Now, he said this on his 83 Weeks podcast. Eric Bischoff opened up about his role as SmackDown Executive Director, a position he held from June to October of last year. We had a draft last year, and then obviously he was replaced by Bruce Pritchard. Bischoff spoke about how the roles might have made sense in theory, but didn't really work all that well in practice. He also spoke about the creative input he was given on SmackDown during his time in charge of the brand. He says, and I quote, "The positions of Executive Director of Raw and SmackDown were new positions. I think they had been thought through very well on paper, but they hadn't been executed or integrated into the actual process. There wasn't really clarity on what that position was. I think there was some fuzziness or fog in regard to the clarity for the position. Fuzziness and fog. I'm sure Bruce works amongst fuzziness and fog every single week." He goes on to continue and say, "Paul Heyman didn't have any more creative control than I did." Of course he did. Vince McMahon put Bischoff and Heyman in those positions as fall guys. And I'm not talking about the popular PlayStation 4 game. Vince put them in that position to be fall guys. Because he knew everybody was getting frustrated. The stock was down. He needed to make some change to show the shareholders that change was being made, that he was thinking of ways to enhance the product. Because if Vince didn't put fall guys in place, then who would they blame? They blame Vince McMahon. They're not going to blame some fucking no-name geek and creative. They're going to blame Vince McMahon. So if you put two notable wrestling names like Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff in those positions, and you give them the title of, hey man, they're leading the creative charge on Monday Night Raw, and Vince McMahon can scurry off into the fucking shadows, who are you going to blame? Who is a no-name geek shareholder going to blame? Oh, but Vince, you hired Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. What's going on? That's why. That's why Bischoff and Heyman were hired. Now, the only person there who had creative influence was Vince McMahon. There you go. He said it himself. The man said it himself. Everybody else's job was to come to the table with ideas, and then Vince would pretty much take them from there. I had as much access to Vince as I wanted to have. Now, Eric Bischoff oversaw Friday Night SmackDown and that first show on Fox, which came just a few weeks before he was replaced by Bruce Pritchard. Here's what Bischoff had to say on the matter during 83 Weeks, and I quote, "A lot of excitement, a lot of chaos. Anytime you're doing a live show, in WWE especially, there's a lot of last-minute changes and modifications. You're constantly dealing with variables and changes, some minor, some radical. So you have to have some time for it. And some you're also fixing literally on the fly. There's always this sense of controlled chaos at a big event like this premiere SmackDown show was. We were still trying to navigate roster splits. I've never been through something like that in my life. Just hundreds of hours of my life that I will never be able to get back. It was tough." Along with the SmackDown debut on Fox, Eric Bischoff also oversaw the 2019 draft and helped select the roster for the Blue brand. Bischoff called the experience nothing short of a nightmare. That was just a freaking nightmare, Bischoff says. Right up to the final moments when we went on air. It was constant second guessing, back and forth, last minute changes. It was just brutal. I'm watching now, and I know the draft is going on, and I'm thinking, man, I haven't heard from Bruce in a very long time, and I'm going to wait until after this is all over to try and reach out to him. This is just fucking miserable if it's the same as it was last year. I can tell you literally, up until the day of the show, none of us knew who was going where. Try writing TV that way, by the way. End quote. Now, it's funny that Eric Bischoff says that he didn't know what the hell was going on as far as who was going where. I can tell you literally that up until the day of the show, none of us knew who was going where. And he's the executive director of the fucking show, folks. If that doesn't show you that they held no power in their positions, I don't know what will. Who the fuck knew? Why doesn't your executive director on Raw and SmackDown know anything about where their rosters on their show are going to end up? How can they write television? How can they write storylines when they don't have any names to put to paper? And then people want to shit on me for shitting on WWE, but this is the exact reason why I shit on WWE. And if they don't know, what do you think that means for the superstars moving to these shows? They don't know either. Several WWE stars weren't told in advance about draft pool placement. What a shit company. WWE released the rules as well this year as the talent pools became a thing just one day ahead of the draft that started last Friday on SmackDown, continued on Raw Monday. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that several wrestlers he spoke with told him that they were informed about where they would be in the draft pool by the Fox Sports report that went up on Thursday afternoon. So one day before Friday Night SmackDown. There was at least one star that was said to have expressed displeasure about this. There were several wrestlers that actually found out that they wouldn't be included in the draft pool via the WWE statement that was sent out after the Fox Sports report came out. The first official night with the new rosters will start as of this week on Friday Night SmackDown, and then obviously we will go into Monday Night Raw with a brand new roster on that show, and I use brand new, quote unquote, very loosely. So the wrestlers didn't know. Bischoff didn't know. Bruce didn't know. Heyman didn't know. Nobody knew. Nobody knew anything. Just goes to show you how terrible WWE creative is. And with the draft roundup, look at these names. First of all, look at the names that were not drafted. Some of these are common logic, and you can probably piece together why, on your own, why they're not drafted, because WWE will use most of these names where they see fit. When ratings are down, that's where you'll see these talents plugged in. Jimmy Uso. Jey Uso remained on SmackDown, so unless WWE wants to break up one of the best tag teams on the planet, I don't know why you would put Jimmy Uso on Monday Night Raw. Jimmy Uso's probably going to SmackDown, but right now he's hurt. And he showed up on SmackDown. He showed up at Clash of Champions to throw in the towel for his brother against Roman Reigns, and I'm pretty sure he will show face at Hell in a Cell. Edge. Where's Edge going to go? Randy Orton's going to win the WWE title. Is Edge going to show up on Wednesday nights? No, Edge is showing up on Monday. Bo Dallas. Is he even employed? I don't know. John Cena. John Cena's going to be plugged in whenever WWE wants to plug him in, wherever they feel like John Cena plugs in best. Ronda Rousey, same thing. Mojo Rawley. They gave this guy 5 years. They gave this schmuck 5 years to do what? Go undrafted and not be given a fucking brand. When Gronk left, so did all desire to push Mojo Rawley. Samoa Joe, he's on Monday Night Raw. I assume he'd end up on Monday Night Raw because he's a commentator on Monday night. Jinder Mahal! Can we draft him to unemployment? Ivar, he's hurt. Eric ended up on Monday. Don't see why you would bring Ivar back and put him on SmackDown when his tag team partner's on Raw. Sonya Deville, don't know where they're going to put her. She can legitimately go anywhere. They'll probably put her on SmackDown away from Mandy Rose, being that they're now best friends again. Of course, they're sharing Instagram photos together, so there goes that. Becky Lynch, she'll probably come back on whatever brand Ronda Rousey is on. The Forgotten Sons, legitimately forgotten. Goldberg. Can we draft him to the fucking retirement home? The Undertaker. And then remains undrafted. Hopefully he drafts himself to his home office and plays Destiny Beyond Light on November 9th. Now, the updated WWE Draft left Monday Night Raw and SmackDown looking as follows. Now, I want you to take a look at these tag team divisions. I want you to take a look at these women's divisions, and please tell me how any of this is going to work. Seriously. Look at this women's division on Monday night. Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion. They got Alexa Bliss. Fine. I don't want to see Alexa in the ring, but she's been doing some of the best acting work of her career with this new Bray Wyatt thing. Alexa Bliss, Lana, Peyton Royce, Charlotte Flair, Nikki Cross, Naomi, and Lacey Evans. I could see Naomi vying for the women's title, but how many times has WWE given Naomi a chance? Never. Never. No, I don't want to say never, but in recent memory, zero. Lacey Evans versus Asuka, please. Please, give me some fucking sleep pills and let me pass out before Lacey Evans' theme hits the PA system. Nikki Cross, I am tired of Nikki Cross getting title shots. Nobody gives a fuck. Peyton Royce, please. Lana, doesn't she have a table to go through? And then the only one, and you know that they're going to do this when she comes back, Charlotte Flair versus Asuka for the umpteenth time. Man, what a women's division you built around Asuka there, man. Holy shit. This is one of the best female performers in the world, and you gave her a women's division that exists with Lana, Peyton Royce, and Lacey Evans. Do you hate Asuka? Certainly looks like it. Now, the men's side of things on Monday night, I don't really see any difference here. I don't. In fact, all I see is some SmackDown storylines kind of bleeding over to Monday Night Raw because they are so creatively bankrupt. Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley at the top, WWE and United States champions, respectively. AJ Styles, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, Dubba Kato, Randy Orton, R-Truth, Titus O'Neil, Riddick Moss. I'm reading off the fucking catering list. I'm sorry. How are any of these guys going to make a difference on Monday night? Jeff Hardy, Angel Garza, Keith Lee. The next stop is Hickville on the Strowman Express. Braun Strowman. Bro. Tucker. Humberto! Korea. Akira Tozawa. Drew Gulak. Rick O'Shea. Elias. Sheamus. Arturo Rujas. And Eric of the Viking Raiders. Now, I mean, let's look up and down this list, folks, of the top-tier elite superstars on Raw. Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, The Fiend. Randy Orton, 5. Got Jeff Hardy. You got Keith Lee, right? You got Braun Strowman, Matt Riddle, and Sheamus I'd even put in there because Sheamus is an OG. So you got 10. So Drew McIntyre, he's probably losing the WWE title to Randy Orton. Randy Orton. Who is he going to defend the championship against if he is in a situation as WWE champion? We could see Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy. We could see Randy Orton versus Keith Lee. We could see Randy Orton versus Matt Riddle. Is WWE going to push those types of guys in that role? We could even see Randy Orton versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt. Maybe Bray Wyatt wants to get back at Randy Orton for one of the worst WrestleMania WWE Championship matches of all time between them two several years ago. It's kind of weak at the top there, man. Drew McIntyre's got AJ Styles if he remains WWE champion. Obviously, we all know Orton and Edge is going to continue. Drew McIntyre versus AJ. Drew McIntyre versus Matt Riddle. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Drew McIntyre versus... who? Keith Lee? There's not really an overabundance of talent there. How are you going to get 3 hours of television on a week-to-week basis with this roster? My God, man, WWE will be running themselves through repeat by week 3. You thought that was bad? Look at the tag teams on this show. New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. They're the Raw Tag Team Champions. You would think that WWE has tag teams on this show. Miz and Morrison and the Lucha House Party. So they don't have 2 teams. So what they did is take the SmackDown tag teams and put them on Monday Night Raw and call it a draft. Then you got the Hurt Business. You got Shelton Benjamin. You got Cedric Alexander, who I didn't name, MVP. Those guys there, but they're not going to factor into anything. You could definitely make a tag team out of Cedric and Shelton Benjamin. You could definitely do that. That's another tag team there. 4 tag teams. Then you got Retribution. You can team Dio Madden, Mace. You can team Dominic Dijakovic, T-Bag. You can make them a tag team. You can team Mustafa Ali with Dominic Dijakovic, T-Bag, and make them a tag team. You can team Mace and Ali together. Or Mace and Slapjack, Ali and Slapjack. Any type of combination between the two you can make a tag team with. But are they there to win championships, or are they there to burn the establishment down to the ground? I don't know. We don't even know why they were drafted. We don't even know why still, weeks later, why Ali's the fucking leader. We don't know why WWE gave them performer contracts to Monday Night Raw. That's Monday Night Raw, folks. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke are the only 2 women's tag teams on the show. But Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler have the distinct honor of traveling to all brands. So they are just not delegated to Monday Night Raw. Now, SmackDown is no better. SmackDown is no better. We got the women's division on SmackDown. Bayley is the SmackDown Women's Champion. Bianca Belair, Natalya, Carmella, Sasha Banks, Zelina Vega, Tamina, and Billie Kay. Not really leaving much to the imagination there, Bruce. You got Bayley, you got Bianca, and you got Sasha. Everybody else is an absolute waste of breath. If we don't get Sasha versus Bianca Belair at some point in the next 6 months, I don't even know why the fuck you're in the position you're in. Bianca Belair should absolutely demolish every woman in that division. Every woman. 8 women do not make a division. I don't understand. Looking at these divisions, I don't know why we need 2 women's championships. 8 women do not make a division. 16 women make a division. 16 women could be floating on both shows. Just think about that. You could have 1 champion floating on all shows on Monday and Friday night, and you could have all these other women on Monday and Friday night as well. And the reason why I want that is because it would develop a competitive division. And we're going to talk about that with the tag team division as well, because if you thought Monday Night Raws was bad, wait till you see SmackDowns. The men's side on SmackDown, Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. Aleister Black, Otis, Lars Sullivan, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, Shorty G, Kalisto, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, Apollo Crews, Big E, Murphy, and Baron Corbin. A lot better than Monday Night Raw, I will say, but, I mean, again, how long before WWE does rinse and repeat with that as well? Tag teams, the Street Profits. And on Monday Night Raw, they just handed each other, the New Day and the Street Profits, just exchanged championships in the most lackluster, boring, uncreative, creatively bankrupt way for WWE to get tag team championships that they drafted to the opposite show on the teams appropriate for their brand. instead of having a unification match, they just said, hey, man, the Profits and the New Day, why don't you just swap titles and we'll call it a day? As if they are so busy and it feels like a burden for them to do anything creatively. The Street Profits, Dominic and Rey Mysterio, if you even want to call them a tag team, I will not because they're not a fucking tag team. Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, and then Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, Bobby Roode just got traded to Monday Night Raw. Or I guess earlier in the year, he got traded to Monday Night Raw. Dolph Ziggler was traded to Monday Night Raw, too. Remember when he was feuding with Dolph Ziggler? Showed up on Monday Night Raw out of nowhere. Didn't even wrestle a match on the brand and got a WWE title match because they had nobody else to feud with Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. And now he's back on SmackDown. It's like Dolph Ziggler's WWE's bitch. Wherever I need you, you're going to go, you little bitch. Dolph Ziggler. So, just like the women, I don't know why we couldn't fuse together, merge the tag team divisions on these shows. How are you going to operate a tag team division with 3 fucking teams? How? Don't you think it would have made sense to merge the division so you have 6 teams? You could get that up to 8 or 9 if you use some creativity. But WWE said, you know what? Swap the titles and go fuck yourself. And the women's tag team that sits solely on SmackDown is the Riot Squad. So you can add Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan to the 10 women on SmackDown. Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, either one of them. I would love to see Ruby Riott get a match against Bayley and get a proper push and tell a proper story because she's also being wasted, as is Liv Morgan. So, folks, at the end of the day, who was right? Who was right? I was. I'm the only one raising my hand. I can't see if you're raising your hand. You were probably right as well, but you don't have a show. You don't have a podcast, and I don't listen to it. So I don't care. I was right. I've been right for 5 years. These shows suck. These divisions suck. WWE failed to do the simplest of things, the simplest of tasks here. These shows largely remain the same. So when you think the draft, oh my God, the draft is going to help out the shows. Everybody's doing mock drafts. You got fucking Ryan Satin, that fucking cue ball fucking Jerry Curl motherfucker. That fucking mophead of his. Fucking geek. Doing draft and mock drafts. Give me a fucking break, bro. Address the real issues. That's why nobody listens to you. These shows are fucking dreadful. I'd love for somebody to fucking refute me on why these shows aren't going to be on repeat come November. Fucking ridiculous, man. Hey, we got a draft. Maybe we should make it important. Hey, we got a draft. We got a lot of issues to address. You figure WWE would address them. Of course not. Of course not. Moving on. This is something that I wish WWE would address. I'd love an answer to it. Why Andrade was left undrafted following Monday Night Raw. Now, apparently, supposedly, WWE has a plan to put Andrade on Raw, but if they have a plan to put Andrade on Raw, why didn't you draft him to Raw? Why didn't you draft him to Raw? So now Andrade, one of the best wrestlers on the planet, does not have a home. He's not affiliated with Raw. He's not affiliated with SmackDown. Now, when the second night of the WWE Draft was over, Mr. Andrade was left undrafted. Many fans have an idea that he could go back to NXT. He even tweeted a picture of himself with the NXT title. I think that would be the best move out of all the moves they could make with Andrade. It would go to show, first of all, everybody knows that would be the best move, but I don't think that's the move that's going to be made because we got Finn Balor down there. He had a career resurgence. Ember Moon's going to have a career resurgence. And if you move Andrade back down there, he's going to have a career resurgence. And it's only going to continue proving to everybody that NXT does it better than Monday Night Raw. NXT does it better than Friday Night SmackDown. And Vince McMahon is a creative failure. Because how can these talents go to Monday and Friday night and not get the proper treatment, but all of a sudden they show back up in NXT and they're like superstars all over again? I don't really understand it. So he tweeted out a picture of the NXT Championship. Everybody got excited. NXT could use him. They got injuries left and right on their own. But it's not confirmed on if he's going to NXT. It's not even confirmed that WWE is going to place him on Monday Night Raw and they have plans for him. Now, Ringside News has learned why Andrade was not drafted. And the answer is not going to make anybody happy here. Ringside News says that we were explicitly told that, quote unquote, Vince doesn't give a shit about Andrade. End quote. Now, I don't give a fuck what Vince McMahon doesn't give a shit about. I don't give a fuck what Vince McMahon cares about, doesn't care about. I don't give a shit what Vince McMahon is thinking. All I know is that Vince McMahon is actively killing the WWE. And if he's going to take down individual performers with him, he doesn't care. Vince McMahon looks like the type of guy that would get a massive erection by ruining someone's career, by ruining someone's life, especially if they were talented to make it in NXT, thrive in NXT. He gets a fucking hard-on in his $10,000 suits, knowing that he could ruin someone's career. Oh, he don't speak English. Bury him. Oh, he doesn't have a southern accent. Bury him. Oh, he doesn't do this. Bury him. Oh, he doesn't have a good look. Bury him. Now, Vince doesn't give a shit about Andrade. You know who gives a shit about Andrade? WWE's Golden Goose. WWE's resident android queen with the 5G capabilities. She cares about Andrade, so much so that she's engaged to the motherfucker. Andrade is going to be a part of the Flair fucking legacy. So Vince McMahon might not give a shit about Andrade, but Charlotte Flair gives a shit about Andrade. And if Vince doesn't give a shit about Andrade, Charlotte's going to make sure that Vince gives a shit about Andrade. Charlotte's not there. She's not backstage. She's not with the WWE right now. Do you think that this would be a thing if Charlotte Flair was actively on the shows week in and week out? Folks, the answer is no. This would not be happening. This would not be happening. So Vince doesn't give a shit about Andrade. So I'm not really taking this to be a end-all, be-all for Andrade. I'm not. Now, the former NXT champion has clearly a lot to offer. He's one of the best in the world. He's learned English, I think. Even though when he cuts a promo, I could still barely understand him. Now, the reason why he's not pushed is because he doesn't speak English. And Vince will not push anybody that doesn't have mic skills, because mic skills, as far as a WWE sports entertainer, is the most important thing. Now, Angel Garza, he defeated Andrade in 2 minutes on Monday Night Raw. Angel got out of Dodge Way, and the Fiend and Alexa Bliss took care of Andrade and Zelina Vega. Now, a lot of people were wondering, was that a burial of Andrade? Well, it looks to be, like I mentioned before, they have a plan for Andrade on Monday Night Raw, and they plan on putting Zelina Vega back with him, which I don't know why you broke them up in the first place. The guy doesn't speak English! You would think that you got somebody as good as Vega on the microphone. Maybe she should stay with Andrade. Now Zelina Vega is on SmackDown because her husband got drafted to SmackDown. So now Andrade is in a fucking canoe floating out in the middle of nowhere by himself. And Vince McMahon's the fucking hungry shark. And it's going to swallow the canoe whole. That's all it is. So is Andrade feuding with the Fiend? Probably not. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody gives a shit about that. Andrade, according to Wrestling Inc., is set for elective surgery. I don't know what that is, but this will keep him out of action for at least a month. Now, I don't want to give WWE the benefit of the doubt because they just don't deserve it. Maybe WWE didn't draft him to Monday Night Raw because they want to look at the landscape of both shows when he does come back and they'll place him where they need him most. Possibly. Possibly. I don't know. But how this guy can go from being one of the best in the world to WWE, main roster, on Raw, on SmackDown, and this guy goes nowhere. Andrade will live in the annals of WWE history as one of the most underused talents ever. He will live in the annals of WWE history for being a part of one of the best matches that this company has ever produced at TakeOver Philadelphia against Johnny Gargano for the NXT title. How this guy isn't at the top of a brand is fucking pathetic. Now, Vince was never on board with pushing Andrade as a top star. Paul Heyman was a big fan of Andrade. And when Paul Heyman was in charge of creative, he did everything he could to push Andrade as a top guy. And once Paul Heyman was removed, Andrade's push began to fade. Meltzer said the following last month on Wrestling Observer Live. He says about Andrade, and I quote, "When Paul Heyman got replaced, I was kind of told Aleister Black, Andrade, and some other guys, they were the top two guys that were really going to be in trouble because Vince doesn't necessarily see a lot in them compared to what Heyman saw in them." And if you guys remember, I reported back there was a story that the Monday Night Raw management team made fun of guys like Humberto and Garza and Andrade and Aleister Black and Cedric Alexander and Apollo Crews and all those guys that Paul Heyman wanted to push Ricochet. All those guys that Paul Heyman wanted to push because of their size. And because most of them came from SmackDown, Paul Heyman wanted them on Raw because he wanted to do something with them. And the Monday Night Raw management team called them the SmackDown catering crew. Look, Paul Heyman's looking to push the SmackDown catering crew on Monday Night Raw. If WWE thinks so lowly, if WWE management thinks so lowly about talents that they have employed on the show, in the company, as nothing more than the catering crew, why would you ever think that these people are in the mentality of wanting to build new stars, wanting to make right by the talent that they employ? It's fucking shameful. You're going to sign somebody and then make fun of them because you don't like them, and you're going to leave them in catering, and then when someone wants to do something with them because they're calling you out on your fucking bullshit, they're pretty much calling you a fucking moron. Then you want to make fun of those people wanting to push those individuals, and you want to call them the SmackDown catering crew. Great. Great. WWE is the land of the lost. Fucking shameful. I say it all the time. People that work there do not love this business. They love the money that comes with the business. They don't love WWE. They don't love any of those talents. They don't give a fuck about any of those talents there. If they did, everybody would be built like a Randy Orton. Everybody would be built like a Drew McIntyre. Why do I look at this Monday Night Raw roster? Why don't I see 12 Drew McIntyres? That's what I want to know. You got 15 fucking people on the SmackDown roster. Why don't I see at least 10 in the same league as Roman Reigns? Why? That's what you're in the business to do. Fuck your snide remarks. How you wake up and go to work and realize, hey, man, we got to write a show. I'm not going to push this guy, but we're going to give you Baron Corbin on 7 segments. We're going to give you 6 segments with the Hurt Business because we don't want to push Ricochet. Fucking ridiculous. Or push Andrade because he doesn't speak English. Now, Andrade and Black, they were in trouble because Vince doesn't see a lot in them compared to what Heyman saw in them. Now, it appeared that Zelina Vega is splitting up from Garza and Andrade. That was the direction they went. Garza is now split from Andrade. Vega is on SmackDown with Black. And Andrade is left alone, undrafted. Now, Andrade could end up on SmackDown. We don't know. Maybe they put him on SmackDown realizing that Vega is on SmackDown. Maybe we should pair them back up together because it worked. I can see Garza being forgotten about, but maybe not. But if there is a split, Andrade feels like he's going to be the one. If they're going to do Garza versus Andrade, it's probably going to be Garza that goes over and Andrade is the one that gets forgotten. That happened on Monday. Meltzer said this a month ago. Was he wrong? So far, not. This week, Meltzer elaborated more on why Andrade never got pushed on the main roster. He says, and I quote, Vince never got it with him. Whatever he got was just remnants because Heyman saw him in Mexico and in Japan and thought he was a top talent and got him as far as he could. There's a reason when Heyman was ousted, I told everyone Andrade was dead. End quote. This does not bode well for guys like Humberto Carrillo, Angel Garza, and Santos Escobar eventually. Dominic Mysterio is getting pushed right now because of the Mysterio legacy, and he's in this storyline with Rollins and Murphy. Mysterio has impressed Vince McMahon. That's been documented. But nothing is guaranteed for him either, and we've seen plenty of Hispanic stars get pushed at the start only to get to a point where Vince doesn't want them anymore. Alberto Del Rio, who right now could be facing life in prison, good for him. He's a fucking human piece of shit, Alberto Del Rio. He was said to be the guy that McMahon wanted to push when he first debuted in 2010, but then McMahon cooled off on him as well. Of course he did. Alberto Del Rio was actually very good when he first started out, coming out with the fucking fancy cars, coming out with fucking his own personal ring announcer. They took all of that away from him. Every single aspect of his gimmick, they took away from him. He went from carrying around the fucking gold chains and the scarves and coming out of the cars with his own personal ring announcer, and they took that all away from him to a point where he came out with nothing he came out in nothing but gold trunks. That was it. Who's this guy? He's just another fucking loser on the show. He wasn't a character anymore. He was stripped of all his characteristics. McMahon, let me tell you something. It has nothing to do with Andrade's in-ring ability. Anybody that watches Andrade wrestle can easily tell the guy is one of the most elite pro wrestlers on the planet. Why doesn't Vince McMahon push Andrade? Why hasn't Vince McMahon pushed any Hispanic superstar not named Eddie Guerrero? Because Vince is a racist. Vince is very discriminatory against other races. If he is not a white male, if she's not blonde with plastic, Vince will not push them. Vince just doesn't get it. There are ways to work around Andrade and get him to a point where he can be a superstar. First of all, you had that in Zelina Vega. And then additionally, WWE actually gave him some characteristics as far as him being a character in NXT. That was stripped away on the main roster as well. He comes out, and who the fuck is he? Who is he? He's just like everybody else. He's a Mexican wrestler who's one of the best wrestlers in the planet, and he wears white leather pants, and he's married to Charlotte Flair. The best career aspect that Andrade will look back on in the WWE, the best fucking statistic of Andrade's WWE career is that he got engaged to Charlotte Flair. And I don't think that is fair for Andrade. I really don't. Vince McMahon just doesn't like to push Mexican, black, male or female superstars. Seriously. Unless there's something about you and you're 6'8" and you're 300 pounds and you could move like fucking Keith Lee, he ain't even getting pushed. And you could fucking look like Batista, you ain't getting anywhere. You're not getting pushed. It's terrible. It's fucking awful. McMahon's not on board with Andrade. Why? Because he doesn't like pushing anybody but white men and women. That's the problem. That's the problem. That was the case, Naomi would be a fucking 16-time world champion by now. Bianca Belair would have had a fucking thing to do on television instead of wasting her away on main event and wasting her away in catering. Bobby Lashley would have got Brock Lesnar. Mark Henry would have been multi-time world champion. Multi-time world champion. Give me a fucking break with this shit, man. Apollo Crews would still be the United States champion. Now he's on SmackDown, right back to the SmackDown catering crew. If Andrade does not get pushed, WWE may be looking at one of the biggest wastes creatively that they could possibly ever have on their hands in the last decade. And it's nobody but their fault. It's nobody's fault but theirs. It's not Andrade's. Andrade tried to learn English. Andrade even fucking engaged himself to Charlotte Flair. Even that right now doesn't seem to be working. But wait till Flair gets back to television. Wait. That may be indicative of what show he ends up on. If Charlotte's on Raw, he may end up on Raw. We don't know. And if Vince McMahon wants to upset Charlotte Flair, then by all means continue to do what you have to do with Andrade. But Andrade is engaged, so I don't think he's going to upset his queen any more than he really has to. WWE is likely to call upon John Cena and The Undertaker for WrestleMania 37. This will be WrestleMania at Raymond James Stadium because we didn't get it this year because of the pandemic. Now WrestleMania 37 is coming back to Tampa, and it will be the biggest show WWE can put on. But who are they going to call upon? It turns out that they might give The Undertaker a call, even though he hinted heavily at retirement. He's not the only big name that Vince McMahon is likely to contact. Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Live discussed WWE's plans for the show of shows. He explained that Cena and Taker are going to get calls, but they might not be needed. Of course they're not needed. Look at the fucking talent you got on the show. You don't need The Undertaker. You don't need John Cena. The only one that you might need, because it's for storyline purposes, is Dwayne Johnson. And even that is probably not going to happen, because the last time we talked about Dwayne Johnson wrestling, he was going to wrestle Lesnar, he was going to wrestle Triple H, he was going to do a mixed tag team match with Ronda Rousey, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon, yada, yada, yada. Right? Why didn't that happen? Because Hollywood has insurance on The Rock, and they do not want to risk Hollywood's biggest actor in the world, Dwayne Johnson, Hollywood's biggest actor anywhere, Dwayne Johnson. They don't want to risk him to get hurt. So there's insurance policies on Dwayne Johnson right now that these movie producers and these movie studios just do not want to risk and gamble. So Meltzer said WWE plans for WrestleMania. He explained that Cena and Undertaker might not be needed. If WWE can book The Rock versus Roman Reigns for that event, they actually might only need that one big marquee match to get the attention that they crave for WrestleMania. He says, and I quote, "I think if there are no fans, then there's no reason to bring John Cena back. If there are fans, come WrestleMania season, they're going to talk to Cena, they're going to talk to The Undertaker. I mean, it's just how Vince McMahon works, and it's no matter what they do, they always go back and rest on those types of talents. A lot of times, these guys just come back. If there's any chance of Dwayne versus Roman Reigns, you don't really need The Undertaker or John Cena on the card, but you know it's WrestleMania." End quote. I agree with him. You don't need The Undertaker, let him retire. You don't need John Cena, let him continue doing Hyundai fucking commercials and trash bag commercials and riding a fucking purple elephant or whatever the fuck he's doing in that Experian commercial. Give me a break. You don't need those names. I am tired every single year of talking about WrestleMania and, what legend's coming back? How many legend matches are we going to have? And then by the end of it all, you're going to look at 6 matches out of fucking 15 that are legend matches. That's 6 spots taken away from people that legitimately are there all year, working their asses off all year, and have to take a step back just to have a legend come on in and steal their WrestleMania payday. I hate it. WrestleMania does not need to be 8 hours like it was in the past. This year's WrestleMania was actually very digestible at 2 nights. 2 nights. I wish WWE would do that from this point on. But I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think they just did it because they didn't have any other choice for the PC WrestleMania that they gave us. You don't need John Cena. You don't need The Undertaker. If you got Dwayne, I mean, he outshines both of them right now, collectively. So Dwayne versus The Rock would be the biggest storyline in all of WWE. There's no reason for you to go out and get The Undertaker and put him in a match against somebody when the guy went off and rode into the sunset on something that was excellent in the Boneyard match. John Cena can come back anytime he wants. He doesn't really need to come back this year. He's not as old as The Undertaker, and he probably could still go if asked to come back. And he doesn't really fit into any plans. He did with Bray Wyatt, and WWE fucked that up too. So I would say if you're going to get Dwayne, then you don't need anybody else. And if WWE doesn't get Dwayne, I've said it several times, you don't even need to think that hard about a WrestleMania main event. Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan sells itself. That's your WrestleMania main event if you don't get Dwayne versus Roman. WWE not touring with the house shows until 2022. I've heard so many things on this. I've heard WWE wants to move out of the Thunderdome and they want to go up and down the state of Florida and tour. They were telling the roster that they're going to tour. Then it was January 2021. And now WWE is not touring at least until 2022. WWE had to nix their entire touring schedule with COVID-19. They didn't miss a week, but those tapings had to remain stationary without touring, as you guys know this. Now, things are opening up in Florida and in other states, but there is a long time to go until any touring can take place again, especially like it used to. According to WrestleVotes, there are no plans to make any type of return to normal house show touring schedules until at least 2022. They say on social media, and I quote, "I've been told that the typical weekly live event loop, Friday TV, house shows Saturday and Sunday, Monday TV, all of which would be in different locations, they won't return to the WWE schedule until 2022. End quote. Now, no reason was given. WWE is also remaining in the Thunderdome for even longer. They extended it through November at least. They'll probably be there for the foreseeable future as long as they can. There are talks right now that the company might not leave their current location until 2021 begins, and even then, there may be many questions remaining. Now, I don't know what this year alone, listen, if WWE does not tour at all this year, I don't know what happens next year. I don't know what the financial forecast calls for next year, but I know that a lot of people have kind of dove into this. If WWE does not do any house shows this year, they will still have the largest profit financially in any year that they've been in existence this year without any live house show, live attendance gate. Now, again, I don't know what calls for next year. They may be down next year. But those TV contracts, that USA, NBC, Universal deal, that Fox deal, that Saudi deal, still in effect. And for every show that WWE doesn't do, they're going to have another show to do, added on top of what they already have existing. Those three deals are absolutely carrying the burden of WWE right now. They should be counting their fucking lucky stars that they have, the money that they have coming in from all three of those deals. If not, we probably wouldn't even be looking at a WWE right now. That's how bad it would be. Seriously. I'm okay with not touring until 2022. I don't give a shit. As long as we get the TV shows where they need to be, I don't give a fuck what they do and where they go. There are a lot of positives to not touring. Yeah, you're going to get the house show circuit kind of being non-existent. Yes, the house shows were very important to get the men and women in the ring to practice what they do on television, get used to each other, build stories there, get used to each other there, bring it to TV, bring it to pay-per-view. You get to work before you actually show it on TV. That was the most beneficial thing to a house show. The men and women that don't get TV time, they get to go in the ring and get all the time they want to do what they love to do. I feel bad for those people because they're not getting the TV time on Monday and Friday night that they used to get at the house shows. That used to be their TV. They used to live in that moment because they got all the freedom in the world to do whatever they wanted. And nobody's getting that now. Main event. Maybe. Who knows? But WWE, as long as they get the TV shows right, I don't give a shit what happens to the house shows. But there are some positives to having the house shows, and we will not be getting them. We will not be getting them until at least 2022. I will keep you guys updated on that, but listen, if WWE is going to Raymond James Stadium in April of 2021, you know for a fact that WWE already has it planned in motion to move out of the Thunderdome and get into a regular WrestleMania season habit. Whether that is operating out of the Thunderdome or up and down the coast of Florida, I don't know. So we will see what happens, man. I don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen in 2021. We don't know what's going to happen next week. Things obviously can change. WWE might say, you know what? Let's start touring up and down Florida. We're able to do it. Let's get out there and start bringing some sense of normalcy back to the company. Getting fans in attendance. We don't know. So I will keep you guys updated on that. But right now, WrestleVote says no touring until at least 2022. I want you guys to reach into your pocket and get your mind out of the gutter. I want you guys to reach into your pocket and I want you to pull out your wallet. I want you to look at your wallet and I want you to ask yourself this one very important question. Do I enjoy using my wallet? Do I love my wallet? Can I use a new wallet? If you answered yes to that last question, I have the wallet for you. It's called the Ridge. Ridge.com/script. Ridge has been partnered with me all through the entire year, dating back to last year. I live by their product. I would never stamp my name on a product if I did not use it in my everyday life. I have the Ridge wallet and I never leave home without it. Ridge.com/script. Most people, like you, if you answered yes to my last question, most people are still using wallets designed in the 90s. Carrying around old receipts, gift cards, hotel room keys, pictures you don't even know what they were from, where they were taken. Why are you carrying around this unorganized mess? Most people are now upgrading to a Ridge. Most people are still upgrading to a new smartphone. iPhone 11, iPhone 12's coming out, all the new Samsung phones coming out. Why are you still using old flip phones? Why are you still, more importantly, using old wallets? Listen, man, the Ridge is going to streamline everything you need directly in the current day and age. Features for the Ridge wallet, man. It holds up to 12 cards. Holds up to 12 cards plus room for cash. There's over 30 colors and styles, including the new carbon fiber, burnt titanium, and the forged carbon, which is my personal favorite. I really love it. Don't take my word for it. They got over 30,000 five-star reviews on the wallet alone, so you know that they have a lot to be confident about. The durable materials means each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. You can buy one wallet and carry it around for the rest of your life. The Ridge team is also so confident that you will like it, they will let you test drive it for 45 days. And if you don't like it, which I don't know why, you can send it back for a full refund. Guys, also the most important thing, every Ridge wallet comes with RFID blocking qualities. It's got RFID blocking technology that protects you from digital pickpocketers. Do you feel like it's safer? I do. I always do, man. I know that I can carry around my information, my cards, my ID, and I know I am safe and secure everywhere I go. If you guys want to experience this firsthand, Ridge.com/script. Get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping using code SCRIPT at checkout. Man, oh man, if you ain't using the Ridge, you ain't doing it right as far as your wallet game goes. Ridge.com/script. Use code SCRIPT at checkout. And I want to thank them, as always, for supporting today's podcast right here on Off the Script. All right, man, it's that time of the show where we get into the Monday Night Raw, NXT, and SmackDown side of things. First of all, the ratings. SmackDown, for their night one of the WWE 2020 Draft, SmackDown drew an average of 2.087 million viewers in the overnight ratings, according to Showbuzz Daily. Hour 1 drew a 2.156, and then Hour 2 went down to 2.017 million viewers. SmackDown also drew an average of a 0.6 rating in the 18 to 49, which was number 4 for the night, behind the NBA Countdown, which was a 1.3, Jimmy Kimmel Live, which was a 1.3, and the NBA Finals, which averaged a 2.0. They got their own struggles to worry about. The NBA Finals were the lowest rated NBA Finals in the history of the NBA Finals. Goes to show you, maybe you shouldn't be putting political bullshit all over the NBA, so on and so forth. How many people have you driven away with all that you did? So that's that. If the number holds up, it would be down 3.2% in viewership from last Friday's SmackDown episode, which drew an average of 2.155 million viewers with a 0.6 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. SmackDown was not really a good show. I thought the draft was very lazy. If you guys want my thoughts on it, really, I don't even want to go over it. I really don't, because there was legitimately nothing memorable from that SmackDown episode. Bray Wyatt versus Kevin Owens, The Fiend, having his first TV match on SmackDown. I guess that is kind of important in the grand scheme of things when it comes to The Fiend. Really wasn't anything different compared to what we've seen from The Fiend. He takes a ton of offense, he no-sells it, he comes back, he eats some offense, comes back and wins it. That was it. Every match that The Fiend has been identical. And the only match that he's had all year that was worth anything was the match that he had with Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble. SmackDown was down, but it goes to show you, man, look at what WWE has done with the draft. They have ruined the gimmick and the hype of a show surrounding the draft, the yearly draft. This show should be in the threes. The threes for the WWE Draft. And they're not anywhere close to that at all. But WWE likes showing people off on different shows each and every week. You got a Raw superstar showing up on SmackDown. You got a SmackDown superstar showing up on Monday Night Raw. Why would anybody take the draft to be serious when WWE willingly is going to break the rules to their brand split and make everything seem not so important? Don't you think the fans pick up on that type of shit? Then we got the Survivor Series coming up. How important can the Survivor Series be when you want to shill the one time a year where Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live go head to head? One time a year, Phillips? One time of year, Cole? One time of year, Vince? One time of year, Bruce? Is that so, huh? Is that so? Give me a break. You have no boundaries to say that this year. So why would the fans watch the show when they know they could watch any show and see any type of superstar from Monday Night Raw show up on Friday? And vice versa. You've ruined the importance of the draft, and you don't even realize it. SmackDown was supposed to have... Actually, I don't even know why this is in the SmackDown news, because she was actually supposed to show up on Monday Night Raw, and thank the fucking heavens she didn't show up. It was reported by Cultaholic. I don't know who the fuck their sources are, but get rid of them. That Eva Marie has re-signed with the WWE after being released in 2017. Why was she released? Folks, it's not that difficult to figure that out. She was absolutely horrendous. Horrendous. Absolutely abysmal. Now, the report noted that Marie might be appearing on Raw in the coming weeks. Obviously, she was supposed to show up on Raw this past Monday, but thank the heavens! Thank you. Maybe you got red hair and I don't even know. Jesus Christ. Maybe the Virgin Mary loves Eva Marie. I don't fucking know. Does she have red hair? She was supposed to show up on Monday Night Raw. Thank God. She didn't show up. Saved me an ulcer and a fucking stroke and heart palpitations in a bad way. Obviously, she didn't end up on the broadcast. But PW Insider is reporting that Eva Marie will be in Orlando this week. Hopefully it's for a photo shoot on the beach. And we've been seeing the necessary COVID testing happen to Eva Marie so that she may enter the Thunderdome. Marie's in Orlando this week for the WWE tapings, and she's been undergoing medical testing in order to enter the Thunderdome. PW Insider is also reporting that Eva Marie may actually show up in the next coming weeks, and she actually agreed. She actually agreed to rejoin the WWE before the Clash of the Champions pay-per-view last month. Oh, yeah, right, great, man. That's so great, man. That's so great. What did I say on Monday Night Raw? She's not even on my fucking television. Get the fuck off my TV. Seriously. You're not even on my TV yet. I can't reach for the remote control quick enough. You haven't even fucking shown a strand of red hair yet. Folks, Eva Marie back in the women's division. My God, this does absolutely nothing. Imagine thinking out there. Imagine being a virgin geek in the community who wants to see Eva Marie. You know? Do the carpets match the drapes? Type of fucking geek, right? The guy out there who wants to really know what it is to be all red everything, right? What good does Eva Marie do the women's division? Seriously, ask yourself that question. What good does Eva Marie do the women's division? You think she brings legitimacy to the women's division? You think this is WWE adding a new talent that could challenge for the women's title on Monday and Friday night? Now she'll probably end up on Raw because Raw's red and SmackDown's blue. It would make sense if you got Eva Marie with red hair on blue. Folks, if you add Eva Marie to the women's division, it is absolutely going back to the prehistoric era. That's exactly what it is. We'll be living in the land of the cavemen where wheels were made of stone and we were fucking hunting cheetah or saber-toothed tiger, dragging it and killing it out in the fields and bringing it home to the fucking wife and kids and slaughtering it right there in front of the kids. Oh, Daddy, what are you doing? Right? You gotta rub sticks and stones together to make a fucking fire. You got no insulation in your fucking cave. You got other tribes hunting you down. Bow and arrows fucking flying outside the fucking stone hedge that you're living in. This is what we're going back to when we bring Eva Marie back to the WWE. Seriously. This does nothing for the division. In fact, you want to tout a revolution and a women's revolution, evolution. How? How could you even contemplate using those words when you have employed Eva Marie? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Still trying to figure that one out, man. Eva Marie, stay on the beach, stay at home, leave Orlando. We don't want you. We don't need you. All red everything can go somewhere else. Please. Preferably not in pro wrestling. Maybe on the cover of a magazine somewhere. Maybe on a fitness magazine. Maybe on a modeling fucking photo shoot. Whatever. Maybe on a reality TV show. Something. Go co-host some MTV bullshit. I don't give a shit. Get off my TV. Seriously. Unreal. WWE has visions of Braun Strowman versus Lars Sullivan in the future. Well, I don't know. We might have to pull Lars away from his DMs on Instagram. Sending dick pics and fucking asking for booty shots. You know, he's going to rename his entire moveset. The dick pic, slipping into the DMs, the booty shot. You know, he's got Lars written on the back of his red tights. The booty shot. He may actually come up with a new version of the rear view and kind of take a page from Naomi's playbook. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about Lars Sullivan's escapades on social media. I'll let you guys take care of that. But I mean, listen. Lars Sullivan and whatever he's been accused of now, after coming back to the WWE coincidentally, isn't this the same guy that buried Stephanie McMahon on a weightlifting forum? Honestly, he said something negative about Stephanie McMahon. He said something very derogatory towards Stephanie McMahon. And here we are with WWE and Lars Sullivan, and the only person that right now is a fan of Lars Sullivan is Vince McMahon. I mean, how is that even possible? How do you even comprehend that? How do you make sense of that? Lars Sullivan has lost all respect from everybody in the WWE. Nobody wants him back. I don't know. It's a weird, very weird situation. Braun Strowman, forget about it, man. This guy is as dead as nu metal is. Braun Strowman, Lars Sullivan, nobody cares about it. There's a reason why they drafted them to separate brands, because Braun Strowman is on a brand with Keith Lee. Keith Lee and Braun Strowman are on a brand with Bobby Lashley. Meanwhile, SmackDown had no resident monsters. So now, Monday Night Raw has the Strowman Express, the Monster Among Men. And we have the Almighty. And we have Limited Keith Lee. And now SmackDown has the Freak, who slides into the DMs and asks for booty shots while paying somebody to do yoga lessons, but asking for booty shots and sending dick pics. Great. I can't wait to watch this fucking inevitably fail on SmackDown. Now, WWE is contemplating this, and Lars Sullivan, again, I can't predict the future, so I don't know what had happened because I'm recording this before SmackDown on Friday, but he was set to face Jeff Hardy on SmackDown, and Strowman's on Raw. He's going one-on-one with Keith Lee on Monday. Oh, great. Can't wait to not give a shit about that one. Now, it was reported that Reigns was actually supposed to go up against The Fiend at Hell in a Cell. WWE moved away from that. Braun Strowman's plans also got fucked up because of Roman Reigns coming back and winning the Universal Championship. Wyatt moved to Raw. Where the Strowman and Sullivan feud is concerned, fans would do well not to look forward to it too much, as a whole lot can happen over the course of the year and they're on separate brands. But WWE right now wants to build both of these guys up to a point where inevitably it would get to a point where they can have a colossal showdown and you can have the Monster versus the Freak. That's what they're thinking about. That sounds just as attractive as Eva Marie dancing her way down the aisle on Monday Night Raw. Change the channel. Don't give it to me. Might as well take that paper that it's written on right now and put it in the paper shredder. Nobody gives a fuck. Braun Strowman, I don't give a fuck about Braun Strowman against anybody, really. And Lars Sullivan is not all that bad. He's not. It's rough around the edges. I think WWE could do something with him. I just don't think he's going to be able to overcome all of the just negative bullshit that he surrounded himself in. And nobody's going to give a shit. It's going to fail just like his initial debut on the main roster failed. Now you want to plan to put him against Braun Strowman? If you want to put him against Braun Strowman, you're asking for failure. Because everything that Strowman touches turns to legit shit. So please, if you want Sullivan to succeed, keep him away from Braun Strowman. Sometimes big guys don't work good together. I don't see Lars Sullivan and Braun Strowman working good together. That's just my initial feeling on the matter. Monday Night Raw. The ratings are in for night 2 of the draft this past Monday. According to Showbuzz Daily, there was an increase. Ooh. An increase. You want to know why Eva Marie wasn't on the fucking show? That's why. According to Showbuzz Daily, the Monday Night Raw Night 2 episode of the draft did a 1.855 million viewership on USA. This was up from the previous week of 1.686. I don't know why, but I'll tell you why. You want to know why it was up? Because it's the fucking draft. That's why. But it's still below it too, so I don't know exactly what you're all celebrating. When people got a glimpse of that Monday Night Raw did not change, when they got a glimpse of how this show remained the same after 3 hours of nonsensical fucking television, the rating's going to go right back to being a 1.686 the next week on USA Network. Nothing changed, and we went over that already, documented it very well, how Monday Night Raw remained nothing new. It went up against Week 5 of Monday Night Football, which featured the Los Angeles Chargers and the New Orleans Saints. That did 10.654 million viewers on ESPN. Raw was second on the night for this year's draft. The 18 to 49 demo saw hour 1 at a 0.60, then a 0.59 in hour 2, and a 0.52 in hour 3. The hourly breakdown is as follows. 8 p.m., 2.006. Hour 2 was a 1.84 million viewership, and then the hour 3 rating was a 1.676. That hour 3 is a killer, man. That hour 3 is a killer. The show was headlined by a women's battle royal in which Lana won the number 1 contendership, earned the right to challenge Asuka this coming Monday for the Raw Women's title on Raw. Can you imagine Lana winning the championship? Can you imagine? I'm just throwing this out there. I haven't heard anything of such. I haven't heard a report. I haven't dove into the Observer. I didn't get it from the fucking Wrestle Geeks. I didn't get it from these blue checkmark fucking shills on social media. But imagine, Lana is creatively booked to win the Raw Women's Championship over Asuka just because WWE wants to shove it in Miro's face that he couldn't win a championship, a major world championship in the company, and his wife beat Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. I'm just saying. Just saying. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how Vince McMahon's pettiness, can you imagine the levels of pettiness that Vince could inevitably reach, undoubtedly reach on Monday Night Raw? The woman's been through tables every single week since Miro debuted on AEW Dynamite. How long before that gets boring to Bruce and Vince McMahon? Now, he booked Lana in a championship match. This could go one of two ways. He could throw it in Miro's face by her winning the championship, and he could absolutely bury Lana, pull Asuka to the side. Hey, what about that character over in Japan that used to have Bruce? What was the character's name? Oh, that was Kana, Vince. Kana. Didn't you women over there used to mangle and brutalize each other? And you have people being eaten by piranha and explosives and barbed wire. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine Asuka going all Kana on Lana? Kana on Lana on Monday night because he wants to legitimately take the TikTok out of Lana. Oh, you want to be an Instagram model, a TikTok model? Let me see you do that with fucking missing front teeth and 2 black eyes thanks to Lana. Go in there and mangle her, says Bruce and Vince. Give me a break. Just throwing it out there. Can't wait to see that. Can't wait to see what level of WWE pettiness exists on Monday Night Raw. I wish I had a fucking penny every time someone said, oh, this show was great. I'd be a fucking rich motherfucker. You fucking geeks. Anyway, that was the Raw rating. Speaking of Raw, Raw Underground has been canceled. I can't even begin to tell you how many people hit me up on Raw Underground being canceled. They reached into my Instagram. They reached into my Twitter. Hey, Raw Underground was canceled, JD. What do you think of it? What do I think of it? It didn't belong on the show in the first place. The fuck do you want me to think about it? Shane McMahon's Raw Underground has been officially axed. And I'm not talking about the deodorant. Dave Meltzer noted in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that the segments were scrapped a couple of weeks ago because of the latest COVID-19 outbreak among some of the extras from the Performance Center that were used to make noise around the ring. This week they announced Daba Kato and Arturo Ruas as being drafted to Raw. Titus has new fucking dishwashers in catering. That's what that is. Daba Kato may be a little big, man. He might not be able to lean down all the way into the dishwasher. He could stand over the sink and fucking wipe him down with the white towel. Arturo Ruas, man, he could deliver a roundhouse kick of dishes into the fucking dishwasher, man. That dishwasher will be loaded so fast, Titus wouldn't even know what to do with all the clean dishes. They were drafted to Monday Night Raw. They were 2 of the stars of Raw Underground. Meltzer noted that there was a fear about bringing in all of those people because it could start another spread of the virus amongst people on the active Raw roster. So the idea is that the NXT talent should be kept away from the Raw and SmackDown roster as much as possible. As of a couple weeks ago, Shane McMahon did an interview and we was talking about the Raw Underground segments and noted that there were tweaks being made. So he was not anticipating the end of those segments as of a few weeks ago. I was absolutely anticipating the end of it sooner rather than later. Shane McMahon might not have been thinking about that, but I was. Folks, if you are upset about this, you are just mentally not there. First of all, this didn't even fit into the overall vibe of Monday Night Raw. Now, what I mean by that is you can't have scripted fights and then produce a underground fight club scene where you want to mimic shoot fights but have it be scripted and then have these guys go in the ring and do what they do on a weekly basis. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. I can't even begin to tell you that you wasted this shit on Kevin Owens and Aleister Black and Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax and all these other women that were in there. Dolph Ziggler, Eric of the Viking Raiders. Yeah, it gave them stuff to do. Maybe they weren't into the actual Monday Night Raw show or a part of the actual Monday Night Raw show. It gave them something to do. But it did not work. I said it from day one. Raw Underground was only created because WWE was absolutely out of fucking ideas. They were so far creatively bankrupt. They were in the negative that they had nothing else of an idea to generate interest for a still dying product. Monday Night Raw, no matter a draft, no matter Raw Underground, no matter what talent you have on the show, as long as that show exists in its current format, a draft is not going to change Monday Night Raw for the better. Raw Underground being on the show is not going to change Monday Night Raw for the better. It was a fucking gimmick that they threw at the wall that they would hope would stick, and it failed after 2 weeks. People saw it, people understood it, people got it, and that was it. It was the same shit every single week. I don't know how that was going to enhance Monday Night Raw. That shit is not needed on a 3-hour pro wrestling show. If you put as much effort into producing those segments, if you had all the effort you put into the fucking camera cuts and the 90,000 fucking camera cuts that we had to sit through, if you put the amount of camera cuts in there as you would in a normal pro wrestling storyline, if you put the effort that you put into that Raw Underground shit with a regular pro wrestling angle on Monday Night Raw, maybe the show would be better off for it. But here we are, people are like upset over Raw Underground being canceled. Who gives a shit? Good. Good. It failed then. It failed now. That's what happens when you want to throw fucking cheap gimmicks at the wall and expect them to stick. Write a better show. That's what you need to do. Dabba-Kato, Arturo Ruas, they got drafted to Monday Night Raw. For what? If you knew Raw Underground was getting canceled, why the fuck are these guys on the brand? I can't wait for them to not do anything with those two guys. Not like they were doing anything in NXT anyway. Fucking stupid, man. You want to blame Raw Underground for not doing anything because of COVID. You want to blame the cancellation of Raw Underground because people got COVID. How about the show fucking sucked with and without Raw Underground? How about Raw Underground simply sucked? No matter who got COVID or not. Speaking of sucking, Ronda Rousey's WWE return is not happening as soon as what's been reported. Ronda Rousey's name has come up a lot. She's been training with Natalya. She's been training with Roddy Piper's daughter, Teal Piper. Ronda Rousey's WWE contract is supposed to run up in about 6 months. Now, that doesn't guarantee that fans will see her in a WWE ring before then. Ringside News has been told that it's not a good idea to expect her return during that time frame. A senior member of the creative writing team told us here at Ringside News, and I quote, "Something I heard tells me that that's not true regarding Rousey's imminent return. WWE could always have frozen Ronda Rousey's contract, but that is a matter between her and the office. No such report has been confirmed at this time, which stated that as fact. Until a report is confirmed about the company freezing her deal, it's safe to assume that it is still running out in real time. Ronda Rousey's return should be treated as a big surprise. WWE needs to generate water cooler conversation the next morning, even if that conversation occurs via a Zoom call and social media. For now, that big moment will also be saved for a live crowd when WWE wants to return to live settings. Rousey has also made it no secret about how seriously she's been taking the pandemic. Florida is not the safest place to travel to right now. Rousey and WWE's deal isn't over yet, but it might not be a good idea to place too much money on the baddest woman on the planet to return to WWE before the end of the year. Good. Not like WWE's going to do anything with Ronda Rousey anyway. They didn't do anything with Ronda Rousey and what she's done with the division when she left in the first place. What do you think she's going to do when she comes back a second time? All this news about Rousey. Oh, she's training. Oh, she's coming back. Oh, WWE's got plans for her. Of course they got plans for her. If WWE has plans for WrestleMania, then Ronda Rousey's going to be included in those plans. But then I refute all of that with, what is Ronda Rousey going to do that she hasn't done before in WWE? There's nothing in WWE for Ronda Rousey to do. Possibly 3 matches, one of which I'd like to see. Really. The other 2 I don't really give a shit about. Ronda Rousey versus Bianca Belair, I think would be a great match. That's one match I'd be very interested to see. If Ronda Rousey could get Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, there's no fucking way you're going to tell me you can't give her Bianca Belair. Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch, the story is there. It's self-made. But WWE will probably be bringing back Ronda Rousey for one Charlotte Flair because with Becky out, that's their golden goose. And this gives WWE the one-on-one match that they always wanted and that they did want at WrestleMania last year. Simple. That's what they're doing with Ronda Rousey's return. She's coming back for Charlotte Flair. If Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair is not your Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania, I would be shocked. And then you can add another fucking milestone effort to Charlotte Flair's terrible resume on WWE television. Aleister Black, speaking of terrible, he addresses his booking and presentation in WWE. The guy's been all over the place talking about what's been going on with him and his music and his character. Now, Aleister Black has spoken in a recent interview about recent changes to his presentation, his character, his entrance, and more. Many fans have been disappointed by how WWE has used Black in recent months, especially this past week where he was picked in the draft in the last round. Yeah, Lacey Evans and Dana Brooke drafted before Aleister Black. If that doesn't go to show you what WWE thinks about Aleister Black, folks, I don't know what else to fucking tell you, man. You can't color it any more clear. Now, speaking with Sports Illustrated, of all people, Black addressed some of the confusion and criticism that surrounds his WWE character. He said, and I quote, "I think the reason for that is we moved so far away from what Aleister Black was in NXT that people started to get confused about what Aleister Black was supposed to be." Let's stop right there. We moved so far away from what Aleister Black was in NXT that people started getting confused about what exactly Aleister Black was supposed to be. You moved so far away from it, but why? Why did they move so far away from it? When you had something so picture perfect in NXT that would work perfectly on the main roster, you move away from it. And then WWE didn't do anything to give you TV time, express who you are, tell the story about who you are, what you're doing here. They just threw you on television. Then they had nothing for you. Then they put you in a fucking broom closet where you were sniffing ammonia for about 8 months. And then that's it. Then all of a sudden they realize, hey man, we can't keep this guy in a dark closet anymore. Let's use him on television. What a fucking treat, huh? Jesus Christ. It's WWE's fault they moved away from it. They don't even know why they moved away from it. You want to know why they moved away from it? Because it worked in NXT. They don't want something that's successful in NXT to work on the main roster now. They break it down and they build you back up in Vince's image. And whatever Vince's image is, you're now delegated that. And the image of Vince, Mr. Black, is failure. So now, you're a failure on the main roster. We've waited 2 years for you to get your break. How much longer do you expect fans to wait for you to get where we all know you should be? I'd love an answer. No, but you won't come out and actively say that WWE wasted you for 2 years. You should be Intercontinental Champion, United States Champion. You should have challenged for a myriad of WWE championships, and you've done absolutely nothing. The only thing that you could attribute to your main roster run is getting your eye poked out by Buddy Murphy. And that was it. And the heel turn? Why did you turn on Kevin Owens? Because you blamed Kevin Owens for not saving you and not coming to the rescue when Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins took your eye and transformed you from the mysterious Aleister Black to fucking Solid Snake, son of the Patriots. Moving on. After a few conversations, I said, I need a different direction because they killed your old direction. That led to the creation of this new Aleister Black, where he's a little bit more human and people can latch onto him quicker. Bro, I latched onto you pretty fucking quick the first time around. People weren't latching onto you anymore. Maybe you should take that up with Vince McMahon. There was no reason. WWE didn't even give us a reason to latch onto you. Paul did. Mr. Levesque did. Being human doesn't mean you necessarily have to be a good guy. It also can mean that it is a villain, and you can better understand the motives of where the character comes from. You don't have to agree with the motives to understand them, but the motive had got lost to Aleister Black on the main roster. No shit. WWE's motive was not about pushing Aleister Black. They were about burying Aleister Black. The opportunities presented on Raw and SmackDown are this great chessboard. Well, bro, if that's the case, listen. Throw in the fucking towel and tap me out, bro. I don't even like chess. I know how to play chess. I don't like it. Aleister Black, he feels that he has never had the opportunity to do what he needs to do. If he doesn't get those opportunities, he's going to burn the whole chessboard. Does the chessboard mean creative? Never mind the fucking chessboard. Go and burn creative. Leave the chessboard. I might want a game or two. If that means he's sent to purgatory, bro, you're on Raw. You were on Raw. Purgatory? Bro, you are on purgatory. Or in purgatory on Raw. That's fine because he's been in purgatory. If you want to take it one step further and send him to hell, that's fine too. He's accustomed to hell. His whole childhood was spent there. If Aleister Black doesn't get his opportunity, then no one does. That is a much more relatable way of looking at things. Before, that motive wasn't clear. A few months ago, what did he stand for? He was fighting for himself. Then he got entangled with Rey Mysterio, and that left himself open to vicious beatings each week. It seemed like he never learned from his mistakes, which is strange for Aleister because he seems so calculated. That got shuffled away a little bit. Although, for a lot of people, it seemed like Aleister Black never really got his shot or his chance. Aleister Black was injected into so many different storylines with so many different high-level people that it's been highly successful, period. I've been entangled with some of the biggest names in the industry. I had a short-lived program with AJ Styles that involved The Undertaker. Really? Bro, you were used to get AJ over in that Undertaker feud. They buried you. They gave you a loss because AJ and The Undertaker had their feud, which didn't include you. It could have included you. They could have included you in that. You could have teamed with the Brothers of Destruction at WrestleMania if WWE wanted to do that, teaming up against the OC. The OC. That didn't happen. So you were in a AJ Styles Undertaker feud where you were used as nothing more than a means to an end. You used as a pawn. Speaking of chess. That was involved with Rey Mysterio. And that also involved Seth Rollins. Before that, myself and Buddy Murphy had a chance to prove to the world that there is a new way of doing things, a style that showed there is an evolution to the business that still upholds old school fundamentals and pacing. That was great. That was great. All those matches they had, fucking fantastic. That's the Black I want. That's the Black we need. That's the Black I miss. Some fans may feel like I haven't gotten my due. Well, please look at the body of work I've laid down. I still did a lot of things and made myself a valuable asset, and I've proven over the last 2 years that the Aleister Black name can be thrown in with anyone and be successful. End quote. Sounds like he's just being he's being very artistic and kind in the way he's delivering these answers. Meanwhile, all I hear is WWE bullshit, blah, blah, blah. I can't say anything bad because I'm still employed, yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, we all know the guy's talking out of his ass, and he's talking complete bullshit. Give me a break. Black recently got new entrance music as part of WWE's phasing out of themes produced by CFO Money. He addressed the entrance presentation saying, and I quote, "The entrance isn't done yet. Everything you miss about the old entrance, there will be substitutes for them. It will come. But it's going to take a second to get everything ready. Us pulling the trigger on the new music, could we have waited? Possibly. But we didn't. So we got there, and we got there the way that we got there. But we're not finished. The presentation of the new entrance is not done yet. It's not done yet. It's not done yet. So why change it? Why can't we have the old Aleister Black still come out with the entrance? Why take away the entrance when it was the best thing about his act? Why take away the entrance when it made him stand out above everybody and everything else on the show? And now he's delegated to nothing more than a jobber entrance. What they're doing, folks, is humanizing Aleister Black, and that is the last thing that the man needed. Why do you want to humanize somebody that had characteristics of being the next Undertaker? Going undefeated, having a finishing move that nobody kicked out of, great in the ring, mysterious, the mystique was there, he didn't say much, but when he spoke, his words meant value, his words held weight. He made the entrance with the theme music, which was one of the best theme songs in all of WWE. He stripped that all away. What do you got? You got Alberto Del Rio. That's what you got. You got somebody that had it all, and now looks like everybody else because Aleister Black can't look better than the WWE champion. Aleister Black can't look better than the other elite guys in the WWE because he's not on the radar for guys to be pushed. If WWE kept Aleister Black the way that he was, he'd be the most over guy in the fucking company. If Aleister Black remained the same coming out of NXT and they booked him the right way, he'd be the most over guy in the fucking company. Why is he not? Why is he not? Why did WWE do what they did to him now? Because it's not in the plans for Aleister Black to be pushed. Aleister Black cannot be greater than those in power. Now he's delegated to being as bad as Humberto Carrillo. Enjoy catering, my friend. Enjoy catering. I'm sure Titus is going to take care of you very well on SmackDown. Wednesday night, the Dynamite and NXT ratings are in. NXT didn't even fucking factor into the demographics. They didn't even chart. They didn't. Dynamite celebrated 1 year. They drew 826,000 live viewers, and NXT did 651,000 live viewers.
Oh, but JD, why aren't you covering NXT anymore, man?
Because nobody watches. Why do I have to come on here and cover NXT and get 500 live viewers watching on a live stream. Then you want to know why. Look at the ratings. Who's watching it? Who's watching it? I'm not even happy with the AEW ratings, and they're still doing near 20,000 views every fucking week. They were up towards 30. Last week, AEW drew 753,000, while NXT did 639,000. So NXT was up, and AEW was up big time. As in most cases, most weeks, AEW won the 18 to 49 demographic. NXT ranked 51 among the top 150 shows on cable, while AEW was number 15. The shows were expected to increase after they had to go up against the vice presidential debate last week that aired across several networks and did big viewership numbers, around 50 million. 18 to 49, AEW did a 0.30. NXT did a 0.17. And then everything else, NXT didn't even chart. They didn't even chart. Plus 50, they didn't even chart. AEW did 0.35 in the plus 50. NXT didn't even chart. So there you go. Matt and Nick Jackson can pat themselves on the back. They won the 50-plus demographic. WWE bringing back Spin the Wheel. This was the thing. They're getting ready for Halloween Havoc on NXT. Did I watch NXT? No, I didn't. Maybe I should. I'd actually go out and watch Dexter Lumis, and that's about it. AEW had the one-year anniversary show. It was good. Wasn't their best show, but it was good. Had a nice flow to it. Moxley versus Mr. Archer, Lance Archer. Cody versus Orange Cassidy. FTR versus the Best Friends. Got Hikaru Shida versus Big Swole. Not really all that good, but WWE, on the other hand, is getting ready for another gimmick show because that's the only reason they could, or the only way, rather, and they think is the only reason they can beat AEW's if they revise an old WCW gimmick. What new gimmicks is Vince McMahon going to bestow Triple H this year to beat AEW? Now we got Spin the Wheel, Make a Deal for Halloween Havoc. So at the end of this week's episode of NXT, Damian Priest was attacked by Johnny Gargano after Priest defended his North American title against Dexter Lumis. William Regal appeared and said that Gargano vs. Priest will take place at Halloween Havoc. And then he let Shotzi Blackheart announce that both Gargano and Priest and the Candice LeRae Io Shirai Women's Championship match will have Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal stipulations that was used in the early years of Halloween Havoc in WCW. Man, oh man, WCW, they did it, and it doesn't necessarily mean that NXT is gonna do it right. They did War Games, very good. They did the Bash at the Beach. They did, not the Great American Bash, whatever the fuck it's called, right? Now they're doing this. Why? Because it's a counter-programming tactic against AEW. So what is the Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal stipulations? We got a couple of match options here that will be presented. Now, these may change, but these are the current ones right now that I found. A coal miner's glove on a pole match. A trick or street fight. A blindfold match. A casket match. Chamber of Horrors match. Biker's chain match. A buried alive match. A devil's playground. A boiler room brawl. Shotzi's choice. And weapons wild. Gimmick. Gimmick, 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 gimmick. Gimmick, gimmick, and more gimmick. Great. Meanwhile, AEW is not worried about what NXT is doing. NXT is fucking grasping at straws here. Halloween Havoc should replace Hell in a Cell, not be a fucking bullshit 2-hour episode of NXT to try and weasel a win on Wednesday night. Does anybody give a shit about the ratings anymore? I mean, who the fuck is left watching NXT? If I ain't watching, who the fuck is watching? Spin the wheel, make a deal. Can we get Fire Bruce Pritchard on the fucking wheel? Finn Balor. How long is he expected to be out after having surgery on his jaw? He was forced to undergo surgery which he opened up about recently on social media. Thankfully, Balor was not forced to vacate the title like he had to do with the Universal title in 2016. The fact that NXT didn't force Balor to vacate his title felt some fans feeling slightly confident that he will not be out of action for too long if NXT is keeping the title on him for now. Now, thanks to emedicinehealth.com, this is coming from Ringside News, we know that a broken jaw like Balor suffered this month takes approximately 6 weeks to heal. If true, this means that Finn will be out of action until the middle of November. NXT does not have another takeover until December. Many jaw fractures require surgery. Because of that, patients may need to follow up with an oral surgeon. Healing time varies with the type of fracture. In general, the average time to heal a jawbone fracture is about 6 weeks. And even then, I'm just throwing this out there, even then, who knows if he's going to be ready to go after the 6 weeks initially. Finn Balor will almost certainly miss the Halloween Havoc special. Everybody was like, oh my God, this would be the perfect opportunity to bring back the demon. No, thank you. Balor will miss the Halloween Havoc special. That's been scheduled for October 28th on USA. But the aforementioned timeline would put him in contention to make Survivor Series on November 22nd if NXT takes part in it like they did last year. Meltzer said this is a wait-and-see situation. So instead of reading shit online from eMedicine Health, I think we should just wait and take it as a wait-and-see situation. I think the last thing WWE, William Regal, and Triple H want is to strip Finn Balor of the NXT title. They don't want to do that. Balor, in fact, doesn't need to wrestle. He's the NXT champion. As long as he can show face and maybe cut a couple of lines of promo here and there, it's fine. You can build Balor's next opponent without him having to wrestle. So I don't get the idea of, oh yeah, let's strip him of the title. Oh look, they're going to strip him of the title. So what? Yes, it would bypass the 30 days that a champion hasn't defended a championship, but I mean, when has WWE ever fucking followed through on that? Who gives a shit? Really? Balor can be on TV, they can build towards his next match at TakeOver, and they don't need him to wrestle. Just hope he gets better in the allotted time, and WWE, like I said, is going to take it as a wait-and-see situation. Meltzer even said so. That's the best way to attack this situation. WWE's making a big play for Benjamin Carter from AEW. As per a new report, WWE has made a big play, whatever the fuck that means, I don't know, to sign a popular independent star who has garnered interest from several promotions, including AEW. Now, Benjamin Carter has been trained by Seth Rollins. So, Seth Rollins, I'm sure, knows of what Benjamin Carter's been doing on his own. Ben Carter, as previously reported, has impressed in many recent outings, and now a number of companies are interested in signing him. Fightful Select is now reporting that a big play has been made from WWE for him to sign as part of the NXT UK brand. Carter's having issues in the United States due to his residency status. This means his recent matches for AEW have been unpaid, which he did say he was fine with. Of course he should be fine with. Put on a great match, and he got his stock even higher. He gave him, AEW pretty much gave him a massive payday without giving him a massive payday legitimately. That's exactly what they did. So good on them and good on him. I don't know anything about his residency status, but he's got to take care of that. How he can take care of that, if he can take care of that, I don't know. But if NXT UK is the place for him to go, and that may be the only thing for him to go, it's going to be up to him. I'm not saying it's a good deal. I'm not saying it's a bad deal. Obviously, if I'm comparing the two, where's Benjamin Carter going to get the most play? Where's Benjamin Carter going to get the most money? Where's Benjamin Carter going to get the most exposure? AEW. So clearly, in my eyes, if I'm a betting man, I'm thinking if he's allowed to and everything is good to go, then Benjamin Carter's going to end up with AEW, and that's the decision he makes. And that's the best decision for himself. But if he can't, and things are going to hold him back for God knows how long, NXT UK might be the next best thing. It's going to be another wait-and-see situation. I know Tony Khan wants Benjamin Carter. I know everybody in AEW wants Benjamin Carter. And you know WWE would love to take Benjamin Carter away from AEW because they know how badly AEW wants him. And if they can do anything to thwart AEW, that would make them aroused. That's what they do. That's what they do. We'll see what happens, but any more news on Benjamin Carter, I will let you guys know here or on the Wednesday night post show for Dynamite on OTS. And finally, guys, we got a really bizarre story coming out of NXT. Now, if you guys remember, Eric Bischoff, making his AEW appearance, was taped. He moderated a face-to-face with Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho, which was one of the best segments on TV all year. And apparently, Eric Bischoff being included in that segment was leaked a week prior to it airing on TNT because during that time, AEW was going live every other week. They were taping a live show on Wednesday, having them come back on Thursday, tape that show, and having that air the next week. And rinse and repeat. Live, taped. Live, taped. The old Monday Night Raw model. Now they're live every single week, so we should not have any issues about this situation. No spoilers are going to be out there. No leaks are going to be out there. Nobody's going to be revealing anything as far as storylines and plans and et cetera, et cetera. First of all, you'll never hear that coming from AEW because the creative team are the talent themselves. The creative team is Tony Khan. The creative team is the Elite, Cody, Kenny, Hangman, FTR, and everybody involved, MJF, everybody involved, Moxley. Everything that involves who's on TV, they have a hand in creating. Why would any of those guys betray the trust of AEW? And why would any of those guys go on social media and leak shit under an anonymous name when it has to do with them? Why would they do that? So nothing is being leaked in AEW ever. Ever. Now, Eric Bischoff got leaked. Who did it? Jericho called him out immediately. It was an NXT reject that leaked Eric Bischoff's AEW debut. And now we know it to be Tino Sabatelli, who used to team with Riddick Moss in NXT. I thought they were a great team. Tino Sabatelli was released by WWE. Now Tino Sabatelli is back with the WWE. So he's back with the WWE. He had been out of action with a torn pec since April 2018. That's when he was released, okay? Fast forward to July 2020. He started working for AEW, although he wasn't signed to a full-time deal. Sabatelli only wrestled in one match for the promotion by going under the ring name Sabby. Sabby. Good luck getting over with that. Sabby. He teamed up with Brady Pierce in a losing effort against the Best Friends on July 21st. That was an episode of AEW Dark. He hasn't worked AEW since. Now, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that Sabatelli was back at the WWE Performance Center this week. As of this writing, there's no word yet on why he was brought back, and the report didn't mention whether the company plans to resign him or not. Sabatelli is yet to comment on why he's back personally at the training facility. It should be noted that the training facility was housed by the Performance Center, has been moved to a nearby location as the actual PC is being used as the Capitol Wrestling Center for NXT TV. Now, Jericho revealed that the debut was leaked by an NXT reject, which, like I said, we found out to be Tino Sabatelli. He refused to mention him by name then. Now we know it to be Tino Sabatelli. He did add that they will never compete in AEW again. So good luck burning bridges there, or a good try burning bridges there. And then that doesn't seem to be a problem for the leakers, according to Fightful. He's back at the PC. He's back at the PC. So let me get this straight. Tino Sabatelli gets released in 2018. He shows up in AEW. He wrestles one match. And he's working for the best wrestling promotion in the United States right now. The number 2 promotion in all of the world right now behind WWE. You're given an opportunity to show what you can do. Get an opportunity that Triple H didn't give you in NXT. You go in there, and then you willingly burn bridges to try and get one over AEW. And how do you think that looks in the end? Now, did he just go out there and do it because he thought he was being funny? He thought he was going to get away with the situation? I don't know. He can't be that fucking stupid to go out there on Reddit and do leaks. You're going to be found out quickly. But why would he go into the second best, or the second biggest rather, promotion in the United States and burn bridges, burn an opportunity with AEW when he was released by WWE? Was he really even released by the WWE? I don't even know at this point. Did Tino Sabatelli get sent over to AEW as an NXT plant to try and get one over on AEW from working inside the company? I don't know. So Tino Sabatelli did all this and was welcomed back with open arms in WWE when he went to go work for the enemy. Meanwhile, you got guys like Moxley, you got guys like Jericho, you got guys like Miro, you got guys like Zack Ryder, FTR, that are now absolutely blacklisted from WWE for working with AEW. With Tino Sabatelli goes to AEW, comes back and is welcomed back with open arms to train at the WWE Performance Center. Don't you find that a little bit bizarre? Don't you find that just a little bit weird? I do. He willingly burned bridges with AEW to appease NXT. Maybe they did it. Maybe they saw that he was a good soldier and they hired him based on his good efforts. Or maybe he was just never released, always told he would come back, and they had him go in there, do his thing, and then they welcomed him back. I don't know. I have no idea. But I find it very funny how they welcome this guy back with open arms when everybody that I just mentioned is never going to be mentioned on WWE TV ever again. At this point, I don't even think Jericho's going into the Hall of Fame. Unreal. Let me know what you guys think about that. Sabby is the NXT reject back at the Performance Center after leaking Eric Bischoff's debut on AEW Dynamite early this summer. Guys, I'm getting out of here, man. Long episode. I appreciate you all. If you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Check out all the other videos that you might have missed on the channel, link down below. And I will see you guys right back here with a brand new week of WWE content starting with Monday Night Raw. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Mouthmasker.com/OTS. The Ridge.com/script. Once again, that's Ridge.com/script. Use code script at checkout. And go and get your t-shirts, man. Bonfire.com for all your JD OTS merchandise. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you right back here on Monday Night Raw with a brand new week of WWE content. This has been Off the Script, episode 347, and I'll see you guys next week for the Monday Night Raw post show right here on OTS. See you guys later.